Hey, you guys, this is John. And for those of you who believe that there's no Jen against the kids, I have a document that's going to prove otherwise. This is a big story to break, and I have been holding off way too long to expose this. So I have my hands on a book. This is real. It's called The Playbook. And I'm going to talk about 43 ways that the playbook grooms LA's youth and why it should be banned. You can see it right here. It's 52 pages, right? You can see right here, there's dildos, vibrators, there's all these things on it. Right here, this is an image of a cell phone with penises on it, and underneath here, it says, fuck me. This is real. This is a real book for kids, youth. So I'm going to start with the report that I have on this book. I'm going to give a trigger warning at the beginning, graphic sexual content and sensitive content, and discussions on mental health. So, number one, the playbook clearly states that it is made for youth. And I just want to say, I'm going to include a link in the description with a PDF document, or I'm going to get this, I'm going to make this document accessible to you. If you just look at the description, you can open the link and have access to this 52-page book. I've scanned it and it's a PDF. So it clearly states it was made for youth. And I have to say this because I know people are going to come and attack me and say that this book is not meant for children or youth. So here's the proof. Page 7, it says, the playbook says directly, it is made for, quote, young queer people who identify along the masculine spectrum, close quote. And then it says that the book was written with, quote, guidance from members of the Youth Community Advisory Board, close quote, at the Children's Hospital, Los Angeles. So we have so far the word young queer, then we have the word Youth Community Advisory Board, and then we have the Children's Hospital, Los Angeles, all mentioned right there, page 7. The last page of the book, page 52, states, the playbook was developed at Children's Hospital, Los Angeles, Division of Adolescent Young Adult Medicine. Okay, so right now we have young queer people, Youth Community Advisory Board, Children's Hospital Los Angeles. Again, Children's Hospital Los Angeles, Division of Adolescent Young Adult Medicine. 6 times words relating to youth. So clearly this is a book made for youth, for adolescents. If you look up what adolescent is on Google, it's going to give you a definition that starts at age 10. Now, I do understand that this book says adolescent young adult. I don't know, you guys. The very interesting thing is, why is the age not mentioned? Why does this book not mention what age range it's for? It can mention all those things, young queer people. It can say that it was made with, but it doesn't actually mention the age. And I wonder why. Why are they opening sort of the floodgates to essentially any age that's considered youth? The other thing is, it does say that it was made with funds provided by net county costs from the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health. This is a taxpayer-funded document, and I'm trying to expose this because I want taxpayers to be informed. Whether you're conservative or liberal or centrist or independent or whatever you are in Los Angeles, you deserve to know where your taxes are going, and that they're going to actually fund a document that is grooming children or grooming youth. And I want to say, why is it that they are, I believe that they're trying to hide some of these things, because the fact that this was made by net county costs and that it was made by the Children's Hospital Division of Adolescent Young Adult Medicine, it is written on the very last page in the tiniest font. There's no other text in the entire book which uses such a small font as this. In other words, it's essentially hidden. You have to read the entire book, go to the very, very last page, bottom right corner of the last page, page 52, to actually find this, and to find the contracts number right here. Contracts number PH-003436. I hope someone can investigate this. I don't really know how to investigate this, where to go, what website to go to. If anyone knows, please put it in the comments. And I want to say, Page 7 states that the resources used in the research of the guide came from the CDC, the NIH, and the UCSF, which is University of California, San Francisco. So you have the Center for Disease Control, the National Institute of Health, and then a public university in Northern California where all the research from this comes from. Again, I'm stating that because this is all from public agencies, public institutions, public organizations. Okay, 2, the playbook fails to mention the 4 most important parts of sex education. And again, about age, this also ties into this. If the playbook was done for sex education purposes, then why on page 9 on the only section on consent and boundaries, and in the rest of the entire book, does it fail to mention the most important parts of sex education? 1, what the legal age of consent is. Never mentioned in this entire book. So 52 pages, and never you see what age is appropriate to have sex. You know, the age of consent in the United States, I believe, is age 18 in all states, but I might be mistaken. I believe there might be some states where it is less, but why is this not mentioned? I think in California it should be age 18. 2, bodily autonomy and agency, not really mentioned in this book. 3, the importance of abstinence as prevention, never mentioned once. And 4, resources to report sexual assault or abuse. I wonder why these 4 things are not mentioned in the text. There's no resources where you can go if you're sexually abused, raped. Never mentioned. 3, in almost half of the entire book, there are pornographic images of genitals, sexual positions, and graphic material. Let me just give you one example. Right here, we have positions that the book is grooming kids to try. Right here. And it says, doggy style, missionary, bend over. Some more. Next page. Facing up, cowboy, reverse cowboy, and sideways. Right here. Entire book. All basically a giant porno. This whole book. 4, it recommends kinky practices like dirty talk and the creation of role play scenarios like daddy and son relationships. On page 11, that's the point, and now I'm gonna give the example. Page 11, it recommends youth, quote, incorporate dirty talk into play. It says you can liven things up by finding out if you and your partner like being called, if you and your partner or partners like being called names during sex, such as, this is bad, you guys, such as slut, whore, cum dump, or daddy. For those of you who don't know what a cum dump is, it is a person who plays the bottom or passive role in penetrative sex and is the receiving partner by multiple men, receiving ejaculate from as many different partners as possible, usually in anonymous settings, and with anyone from between 10 to 100 men in one sexual session, almost always with no use of condoms. This is real, you guys. This book is telling you to call your partner a cum dump, or telling you to have your partners call you a cum dump. Terrible. Number 5, it tells youth directly to try things specific sexual movements. On page 13, it instructs youth to rub their frenulum, squeeze their balls while stroking their penis, pinching their nipples, rubbing the clitoris in circular motions, using sex toys, fingering each other, stimulating the nerve endings around the butthole with fingers and toys. This is a direct quote from page 13. Number 6, it tells them to choke themselves. This is probably one of the worst parts of the entire book. It tells youth to choke themselves and their sexual partners using their hands or a belt that is tightened or loosened around the neck during masturbation, and it gives them a bodily injury and death warning. Page 13. Okay, why would this book recommend a practice to youth that could lead to death to youth? This section also mentions that the responsibility is on the youth to know their limits and to devise a safety plan to avoid bodily harm. Isn't that terrible? It's basically telling them you can die from doing this, but the responsibility is on you. If there's bodily harm or death, the responsibility is on you. Meanwhile, they're the ones promoting this and grooming this. Public agencies, the Children's Hospital. And the other thing I want to mention, why is it the Children's Hospital that the government chose? The LA Department of Public Health chose to do this through the Children's Hospital. Why couldn't they do this with any other hospital? They could have chose Cedars-Sinai Hospital or any other hospital that treats adults. No, we're going to do this through the Children's Hospital. Number 7, on page 14, The playbook recommends using butt plugs to train the anus and rectum in order to be able to more easily take in different objects. Okay, so essentially, it's saying get a butt plug, train your anus, train your hole to grow bigger, right? And that way you can take in different things, bigger things. Okay, they recommend lube as a way to prevent anal tearing. And then this is the thing, if tearing is such a concern and a risk, why would the book even recommend this practice? Okay, it states, quote, training your booty hole helps you to last longer and feel more comfortable when getting fucked. You can use a butt plug during your solo session, or you can insert it and go about your day for constant pleasure while training your hole, close quote. So what this playbook is recommending is that a youth inserts a butt plug in their anus and that they go about their day all day with a butt plug inside of themselves. They walk around, they go to work with a butt plug inside. Okay? And then, I'm still going to be attacked by liberals, I'm sure. They're going to say, John, this isn't grooming, this is sex education. Let them do this. Anyways, they're going to do this. I don't know what to say to that. This book is not written, look, I've researched this book extensively. This book is not just written in a way where it just kind of presents facts. This book is written in a way that is fun and encourages and promotes to do these things. It says, try it out, right? If you look at all the graphics, this is a fun thing. And it's all under the guise of sex positivity. And in fact, the sex positivity thing is mentioned on page 7. Very first page of the actual text of the book, in the introduction, right? You can see it for yourself. Page 9. Page 15. Point 9, page 15. Okay, page 15 says cock rings called C rings are recommended to youth as a way of restricting blood flow for a quote harder, longer lasting erection, close quote. So the book states that there's silicone, metal, and leather cock rings, and that youth should not keep them on for hours on end, but only use them during sexual play. Okay, so another kind of health concern. The book and the people who wrote this are going to say, we're warning kids, don't wear the cock ring for too many hours. They're going to say they're providing a good service by educating youth. But this is not what they're doing. They're promoting all of these things. And no youth is going to read this and say, I'm not going to do this. They're all going to go try this, right? This book is actively promoting sex addiction because the youth are going to want to do all these things and then more. Because if they're doing these things in their youth, what are they going to do when they're adults? What's left, right? And we all know sex addiction is progressive. You can ask any certified sex addiction therapist, CSATs. They will all say it's a progressive thing and it's going to get worse and worse and more paraphilic, and the kink will get deeper and deeper. And they're going to be doing things that are not mentioned in this book. Why? Because this is going to be all normalized when they're young. Point 10, page 16 recommends frottage and defines it as the practice of grinding or dry humping the penis, the clitoris, or the front hole up against your partner's body, against inanimate objects, or against sex toys. That's written Frottage, frottage. And the book says, rub against any part of your partner's body, including the butt, chest, abdomen, thighs, feet, hands, legs, and genitals, either naked or with clothes on. Page 16 states ways to engage in frottage on your own or with partners, and includes rubbing a, quote, dick between someone's ass cheeks, thighs, or chest, close quote, and against your partner's genitals. Okay, now point 11, page 16 defines mutual masturbation as a great way to ensure that you and your partner have an orgasm. It includes ways to engage in mutual masturbation like hand jobs, foot jobs, which is using feet to play with your partner's genitals. That's written in the book. It defines what a foot job is. Genitals, tickling the clitoris, and hand jobs with anal stimulation. And it states that hand jobs with anal stimulation are stroking your partners while rubbing their hole. Close quote. Okay, number 12. On page 17, it recommends sexual ASMR, it defines it as, it's autonomous sensory meridian response methods, such as whispering, lip smacking, nail tapping, brushing sounds, heavy breathing, licking the ears, whispering in your partner's ear, and making, quote, slurping and sucking noises, close quote. And it recommends to look up ASMR community on the ASMR community on YouTube and to, quote, find videos featuring pleasurable sounds, close quote, to give you that tingling sensation. Number 13, it recommends sexting without informing youth of the dangers of sexual blackmail and extortion or the mental health effects as a result, like suicide and depression. And in fact, nowhere in the entire book does the playbook mention mental health effects relating to hookup culture other than with regard to poor mental health as a result of racial discrimination on hookup apps. So this entire book never says anything like, if you hook up, if you're super promiscuous, you're going to develop depression, sex addiction, suicidality, anxiety, nothing like that. Trauma will be stored in your body. None of that. It only kind of talks about mental health within the context of the racial discrimination that it says happens on these hookup apps. That's the only time I saw it. Page 17 defines sexting as, quote, sending erotic, sexy, and thirsty text messages and or pictures to a partner or partners or potential partner and partners, close quote. And it recommends, quote, you can talk about how you like to get fucked or fuck your partner, how to want to be touched, close quote. And, quote, if you can't meet with the person right away, you can use the conversation for solo session, close quote. The same page recommends, quote, some examples of sexts that you can use, like, I'm going to let you fuck or do this. I'm going to make you beg for it. I'm going to make you come. I'm going to make you moan. I want to lick this. I love thinking about you spanking. Okay, so it's recommending spanking, which is within the realm of BDSM, right? And I just want to say, if any of this seems triggering to you, if any of this seems too much for you, can you imagine what it's like for a child? If YouTube censors me, deplatforms me, demonetizes me, silences me, cancels me, doxes me, I don't care. If anyone does that to me, I'm trying to protect kids, okay? So if this is too much for you, imagine how it is for a young person, for youth, okay? And we should be able to talk about this. They say that it's conservatives who limit expression, and then they're limiting our expression, our freedom of speech to even talk about these things. And I see this all the time in school board meetings where parents go in front of the school board and they read what's in some of these texts, and the school board tells them not to actually read the things because it's too much for the school board to hear. So if this is too much for you to hear, I don't know what to say. 14. The playbook does not mention anything regarding sex addiction, love addiction, masturbation addiction, and the problems of lust or too much dopamine, or about pornography addiction, or the negative side effects of pornography, and how the porn industry is linked to the human trafficking industry. And it fails to mention about smartphone addiction, social media addiction, hookup app addiction, chemsex addiction, which is using drugs during sex. And all of these things are immense problems within the LGBT community. Again, I'm not here to attack anyone who's LGBT. I'm just here to point out this book. And you might say, John, just present the facts. We don't want to hear your opinion or your commentary. But I can't help it. We're talking about kids. And I am doing the best I can to just state the facts and to basically just state what this book says. Because with a lot of the things I'm saying, I'm mentioning direct quotes of what this book says. In other words, this book speaks for itself. Even if I didn't have commentary, you should be able, a third party who reads this book should be able to conclude that this is grooming. Funny thing is I showed this to a friend of mine, and I showed this also to a family member, and both of them said it's not grooming and that it's appropriate and that it's totally fine. And I completely disagree. I think that people are brainwashed if they think that this is normal, or that a book like this should be normalized. The playbook fails to discuss mental health in detail and the negative side effects of hookup apps and hookup culture on queer youth and adults, like depression, body dysmorphia, autism, bipolar, ADHD, anxiety, anorexia. And it also fails to mention any type of recovery resource, such as 12-step programs for sex addiction, for drug addiction, for anything like that. The book doesn't mention any type of resource with regard to mental health. Number 15. It uses enticing language to recommend rimming and the paraphilia of scat play or coprophilia. This is real. Here are the examples in the book. Page 17 defines rimming as, quote, ass eating, eating the booty like groceries, or whatever you call it. And it is a form of oral or ass play that you and your partner can find pleasurable. Rimming is pleasurable because of the concentration of nerve endings around the butthole that cause a good tickling feeling. Okay? Giving a rim job involves using your mouth and tongue to stimulate the booty hole by licking it, whispering into it, kissing it, massaging it, etc. Close quote. All of that was a direct quote. Even the part about ass eating, eating the booty like groceries or whatever you call it. That's a direct quote. I didn't add that or whatever you call it. The book states it exactly like this. Okay? The playbook recommends tips to keep in mind, such as, quote, think about whether or not you need to douche. Douching, for those of you who don't know, is cleaning the anus with water. And then it says, since some people like the taste of an undouched butthole, close quote. This is in the book. This book is telling youth to eat a butthole that is unwashed, undouched, unclean. What is this book trying to promote? It's therefore normalizing the idea that one doesn't have to wash when engaging in the sexual practice of rimming, and this can be dangerous for the transmission of bacteria within fecal matter such as E. coli. Also recommended is, and all of this is directly stated, stay hydrated to avoid dryness in the butthole. Use both your tongue and your breath action around the butthole, and spell out words with your tongue as a trick to provide stimulation. Right, so it's telling them, think of a word and spell it out while you are eating the butthole of your partner. And then it says, and rubbing and stroking your partner's genitals while rimming them. So here I just want to take a little brief pause, and I want to say that essentially what this book is doing, it is telling them exactly how to have sex according to how this book wants, how the writers of the book, and let me just quickly say who are the writers. It says right here, page 1 on the cover, written by queer health educators Leonardo Almanza, Adrian Gonzalez, and Santino Lojero. I believe these 3 people should be investigated. And then the following page says that it was designed by Juan Negoyan and Jonathan Torres, and it includes both of those design artists' websites and their Instagram handles. I also believe the people who designed the book should be investigated. And I'm not saying this to go after artists, but if you're an artist and you're producing something like this and the cartoons and the colors and everything, you should know I'm sure they know who this is being produced for, because it's written directly on page 7. It's made for for youth. It says it directly. They should know that this is produced by the Children's Hospital. I bet you their check is coming from the Children's Hospital. So if they have any logic in their mind, they should be asking these kinds of questions. So we should investigate all of them. And we should investigate the adolescent young adult medicine division of the Children's Hospital. I went on their website. You can see all of the names of the doctors. You can see the 2 doctors who are running that division. We should investigate all of them. Number 16, the playbook mentions fisting multiple times and also deep throating. So again, this is a book that is telling youth to put their fist, right? And we all know that within that world of that kink, it's not just the fist that goes in. It's all the way, right? This is a dangerous practice. Dangerous. This is on page 18, okay? To describe penetrative play, it states, quote, it's when something is going inside of one of your holes using a dick, a dildo, a finger, and that people also use, quote, use terms like fucking, pounding, sucking, deep throating, fingering, fisting, inserting, and more. In other words, it's basically telling them this is what penetrative play is, and fisting and deep throating and pounding, that those things are like the normal thing to do with insertive play. Okay? Direct quotation. The text states, quote, playing with the hole can be fun, and some common ways of exploring insertive play include anal sex, front hole sex, oral sex, fingering, and rimming. Okay, number 17, pages 18 to 20 show graphics of oral sex, and they title them, quote, "What That Mouth Do Though?" question mark, close quote, and include photos of multiple positions to make, quote, "mouth fucking easier, comfortable, and pleasurable," close quote, including the 69 position, face squatting, which is sitting on someone's face, on the knees position, face fucking, missionary head position, and Patrick Swayze position. And it describes the Patrick Swayze as lifting a person up onto your face so that you can perform oral sex. This position requires some strength and a lot of coordination, so be careful to not hurt anyone involved. It gives them a warning that try out this position, but just know, there's a danger to it. Most adults don't even know half of these positions. I've never heard of Patrick Swayze. 18. The playbook for a second time promotes the normalization of the paraphilia of scat play. Page 20 includes questions to ask your partner like, quote, "How much teeth are you using while you are going down? Do you like mouth fucking unwashed or washed bodies? Question mark. Do you need extra moisture like spit? Question mark. Close quote. So, and it also states that, quote, "Some people like the taste of odorless, washed skin, while others enjoy the taste of an unwashed hole or dick." Again, telling them scat play. It's not directly scat play, but it's telling them have dirty sex. Don't wash. It's telling them that it's normal to not wash. Again, it's also exposing them to bacteria in fecal matter. And then it says oral pleasure should be fun and tasty either way, whether you play unwashed or washed. Hey you guys, John again. And I had to switch the filming location just because I didn't have quietness at home. So I didn't want to interrupt with different noises. But I really want to say that I wish this was all fake. I wish that I was making these things up, but I'm not. It's real. These are the lives of real people, real youth. And we have to call this stuff out. So I had left off at point 19. On page 20, it recommends tips for eating ass, like use your tongue to fuck the butthole, play with their cheeks while eating their ass, use lots of spit, alternate between hot or cold breath, play with the front while you eat the butt. Number 20, page 20 includes tips for sucking dick and improving your oral skills. It says, quote, "Relax your jaw and monitor your breathing to deep throat the dick, lick around the tip of or head, including the frenulum, suck out all of the air while going down on a dick to create a vacuum effect in your mouth. Use lots of spit, suck or tickle the balls while you are giving a blowjob. If your jaw gets tired of sucking, licking can give you a break while not interrupting the job," close quote. The same paragraph says, quote, "Oral play can be enjoyable, so suck a dick, eat an ass, or eat a front hole, question mark." It's telling them directly with essentially a command, right? You can see the voice it's using grammatically. It's saying, oral play can be enjoyable, so suck a dick, eat an ass, or eat a front hole. It's telling them, go and do this, right? And by doing all of these things, giving them these tips on how to improve their oral skills, with this whole book, it's taking the imagination out of sex. It's taking any actual fun through experimentation, through for people to kind of enjoy themselves and their partner and to figure out what it is that they like on their own. Because it's giving them a guide and it's teaching them exactly what to do according to the way that these people who made this guide believe that sex the way it should be done. It's not giving them any kind of things like, be creative, do your own thing. No. It's clear that sex education should stop where you say, this is the age of consent, these are the body parts, and that's it. You shouldn't tell youth what positions what positions there are. Let them do those things on their own when they're consenting adults, right? But no, the book even leaves out age 18. Doesn't give the age of consent, the most basic thing. 21. The playbook recommends youth explore by trying out all positions, top, bottom, or both. Page 21 has a section, quote, "Get this bussy," right? And Bussy is a combination of boy and pussy to mean the male anus. So it's a boy pussy, right? This book uses this word, and it describes the top and bottom roles as, quote, a top is someone who is fucking their partner with a body part or object. A bottom is the person in the receiving end, or the person who is getting their hole smashed. Some people identify as verse, that's short for versatile, which means that they top and bottom. Finding your position or positions is a process of exploration, so try out topping, bottoming, or both. This book just tells them, just go try out bottoming, try out topping, try them all out, just do anything, go with the flow, right? This is what the book is doing. Number 22, the playbook conclusively promotes the necessity of anal play, and for a third time promotes the normalization of the paraphilia of scat play. Page 21 describes anal douching. It states, quote, your butthole is multi-purpose since you use it to poop and as a hole for anal play. So it's telling them two things. Your butt is to poop and it is a hole for anal play. Those are the two functions of your butt. Some people choose to clean out their butt before anal sex because poop can kill the mood. Others are not worried because it is natural to have poop coming out of your butthole and they might be into it, close quote. Directly out of the book. It's telling them some people like poop play. They might be into it, right? So scat play is showing that the playbook exposes youth to health and safety concerns through fecal matter infections like E. coli. This is real. It continues to state, quote, if you choose to douche, here are some tips. And it includes enemas, inducing bowel movements to clear out the entire colon, which is very dangerous, you guys. Even if an adult does this can be dangerous if you don't use, filtered water, or if you're not disinfecting things. We're talking about youth here. Doing a deep cleaning to prepare for fisting. Again, the promotion of fisting. Why are they obsessed with somebody putting in an entire fist to stretch the anus of a boy, right? I really thought about, did they make this guide for girls too? Did they? Why are they attacking boys? Why are they after future fathers? Is it because they want fatherlessness and they want to break down the family? I don't know. We have to investigate this further. We have to find out how many more guides there are. I got my hands on this book 4 years ago, and I don't know what new thing has come out. I don't know how many people this book has been distributed to. If you have been given this book, if you are traumatized, please put your name in the comments or send me a direct message if you're worried about confidentiality. I want to know your story, your testimony. It's traumatizing for me to read this as a 32-year-old. I'm sure you can imagine, or you probably can imagine, how traumatizing this must be for a youth to read this, right? Then it states, it warns about cuts. Or no, it tells them you can consume more fiber in the diet. It's to make it easier to fist, essentially. It warns about cuts in the lining of the rectum if the rectum is too dry. So if this is so dangerous, if you can get cuts in your rectum, why are they even recommending this in the first place? And they're giving them all of these sort of disclaimers and warnings, but it always says, the responsibility is on you. If you go and do these things, it's up to you. If you like it, try it. Then it states, quote, when wrapping up, it's important to wait a bit to feel if any other poop has to pass. If everything is good to go, then the rectum should be clear for a few hours so you can always douche before the club or a date if you plan on having anal sex. Here we see, right, what we see here, you guys, is the promotion of hooking up with complete strangers that one has not gotten to know other than on their first date or at the club, because it's recommending douche at home, then go on a date or to the club while you're prepared to have sex that night. Do you understand this, you guys? It's saying douche when you're at home, go on a random date, go to the club, meet a brand new person, and that way you're prepared so that you can have sex the same night with a random stranger. Number 23. The playbook encourages that youth stretch their holes by training their hole to take bigger sized penises. I mentioned something about this before. It was on a different page toward the beginning. Page 22 recommends, quote, investing in your lube, close quote, and finding one that is glycerin-free and organic, close quote. Page 22 has a section called Sizing Up, in which it states, quote, lube makes it easier to take dick, but it's also important to know your limits since taking a big dick can be painful. Taking it slow and using a toy to stretch a hole in preparation can make it easier and more comfortable. Stretching the hole for sex is referred to as hole training because you are training your hole to take larger dicks or objects. That's a direct quote from the book. So they're promoting the stretching of holes. They're promoting what's known as anal. It's known as hole training, and they're promoting youth to essentially get to a level where they can take larger dicks or objects. That's promiscuity. And it's dangerous. Putting objects inside of you is dangerous because they don't warn about the risks of that. You know, what can happen is the intestine or the colon can actually suck in an object like a vacuum cleaner because it's not pressurized, I think. And there have been many cases, very dangerous, where people are rushed to the emergency rooms because of items they have put in their back hole. The book doesn't warn about any of that. And again, we're talking about youth. And then it says, remember, the butthole and front hole are muscles, and just like people work out to build muscle strength, some people may require hole training to handle larger dicks or objects. Crazy. Point 24. Continuing the previous point, the playbook suggests through a graphic that youth stick a carrot up their anus or other DIY, that's do-it-yourself, objects. This is on page 22. Some toys and objects people use to stretch their holes are butt plugs, dildos, DIY toys. It includes an image of a carrot inside one's anus, anal beads, and fingers. That's a direct quote from the book. For each of these examples, the book includes graphic images. Point 25. The playbook reduces the value of youth just to their sexual roles and positions and their bodies. Page 23 includes a section called Tips for the Trade. This section reduces a person to their sexual positions by using tops and bottoms as identity nouns, by using the language, quote, ask the bottom, check in and make sure the bottom is all good. Use a toy or finger on the bottom to stretch their hole. It's not saying that the word bottom is the actual hole. It's saying call the person you're with. If you're playing the active top role, call the person that you are with a bottom. He's just your bottom. That's what this is saying. Right? Look at the language. Ask the bottom. Check in with them. Make sure the bottom is all good. Use a toy or finger on the bottom to stretch their hole. The hole of the bottom. This is reductionist. This isn't healthy sexuality. This is, we're just tops, we're just bottoms, we're just verses, right? Versatile people. 26, the playbook encourages the blasphemy of God. Page 23 states, quote, bottoming is work, but putting in work can help a bottom maximize their pleasure and make the top believe God is a bottom. This is insane. Close quote. Open quote, it says, work it out, and it spells work as W-E-R-K, right? We're seeing the degradation of grammar, of proper spelling. It says, work it out. Doing Kegel exercises, consciously tightening your pelvic floor muscles is a simple way to help to keep your hole tight, but also being able to relax your hole to get pounded, close quote. Page 23 says, quote, if you identify as a trans man and have had bottom surgery to reconstruct a front hole into a dick, and it says in parentheses, metoidioplasty or phalloplasty, and are thinking about topping, here are some additional tips. Based on the size of the genitals, try a condom, try a finger cot, or use the thumb of a latex or polyurethane glove as a condom. A cock ring might help to keep it in place, but only use this if you have a sensation in your cock because it can cut off circulation. Okay, close quote. It also includes information about using an external stifening devices, and it mentions peeing during sex if the urethra is extended. This same section states, quote, just remember that putting in that work is fun and maximizes pleasure. figure out what feels good, and don't be afraid to show off the best tricks in your bag, comma, well, comma, whole. Close quote. Let me say that again. Figure out what feels good, and don't be afraid to show off the best tricks in your bag, well, whole. Right? It's saying the best tricks in your bag while you're whole. It's replacing the word the best tricks in your bag with the best tricks in your hole, for those of you who don't understand these references. 27, the playbook encourages you to try as many sexual positions as possible. Page 23 says, quote, the only way to figure out what position works is to try them out. So here's a list of some common positions, and it includes an appropriate graphic material of all these positions, right? So it's basically porn. And it says doggy style, missionary, bend over, facing up, cowboy, reverse cowboy, and sideways. This is the second time it's showing graphics of the positions, and it's mentioning a bunch of different positions. 28. The playbook encourages and promotes hookup culture and downplays the risks of meeting strangers. Page 28 presents hooking up in a positive light as something fun that is to be encouraged. It does this all throughout the book, with mostly all of the book's language being fun. It defines hooking up as, quote, a way to explore sex and pleasure without having to be in a relationship. Hooking up also involves looking for a partner, such as a random person you meet on a hookup app or a regular fuck buddy you hit up for a good time, close quote. 29. The playbook promotes hookup apps and discreet sex for men on the down low. Page 28 recommends apps by using language, quote, one of the biggest challenges with hooking up is finding someone to hook up with. Fortunately, apps have made this part easier and quicker. The page includes a graphic showing the profile on a hookup app of a 20-year-old looking right now, that's what it says on it, looking RN, looking now for sex, who is on the down low because it says DL. It says the term DL on the profile of this man. Page 28 states, quote, so if you're looking for a bear to come down and pound your cheeks, then it's okay to put that in your profile to make it easier to find that bear, close quote. And a bear is a man who is chubby or hairy, and it's reducing men to these different roles and kind of these cultural words, when we're so much more than these things. We're more than just a top, just a bottom, just a verse, just a bear, just a DL. This book is promoting filth, dirtiness, kink, paraphilia. It goes so much more even beyond fetish and kink, to the place of paraphilia. A lot of these things are not even normal in the community. They're not. But they're normalized in this book, and this book is for youth. You know, we have to wake up. 30, the playbook promotes promiscuity or hooking up with many people, and it promotes sending nudes. Page 28 states, people have different approaches, but finding what works takes effort. Some people cast a wide net and message a lot of people at once, while others may put all of their energy into talking to one person they have their sights set on. Some common phrases people use to start off are, quote, DTF, that stands for down to fuck, and it explains that definition. It says, looking, question mark, are you looking for sex? Do you want to see my nudes, question mark? Send your dick or whole pic if they say yes, and it spells yes as YASS, close quote. 31. The playbook grooms children by teaching them the entire lexicon of hookup culture. Page 29 is a section on hookup language. Here are some popular terms people use when looking for hookups. That's a direct quote. Here are some popular terms that people use when looking for hookups. Top, bottom, verse, verse bottom, verse top, oral top, oral bottom, power top, power bottom, travel, mobile, host, FTM, MTF, right now, looking, hung, PNP. You guys, I have to go and explain what all of these are because these are so inappropriate things. We're talking about youth here. So to travel or to be mobile means when you go to the person's location and have sex at their place. To host means when you host at your own place. Now, traveling and being mobile is very dangerous. You're going to a stranger's place. You've never met this person before. They could kill you. They could abuse you, rape you. They could discard your body. Who knows? This book doesn't talk about any of the bad things about this, your safety. FTM is female to male, MTF is male to female. Right now means like let's hook up right now in the moment, let's just meet right now and have sex. PNP, party and play. The book doesn't mention the problems of chemsex and drugs. It doesn't talk about the prevalence of drugs in these sexual addiction communities. Looking is like, are you looking for sex? And then hung, right? It's promoting the idea of bigger size, right? How is that healthy? So many people, so many men, I think the majority of men have issues with their size. And this book is promoting the use of that term hung. I can't believe this. And this is a liberal resource, right? What is in the minds of these people? Each one of these has a cross-reference in the back to the glossary as well with a full definition. Okay, 32, the playbook encourages the commodification and pornification of youth bodies. Page 30 is about nude pics, and it writes the word pics as Pixxx. This here scared me and shows the pornification, commodification of our bodies. Quote, taking, sending, and receiving nude pictures is a large part of hookup culture. Think of it as looking at the photo reviews on a product to help you decide if you want to buy it, close quote. They're telling us directly. This is their belief. They're not afraid to say this. These are their words. When you look at someone's nudes and put up your nudes, you're essentially just a product. Think of it. Think of the photo reviews. Think of it as looking at the photo reviews on a product to help you decide if you want to buy it. This is real. I'm not making this stuff up. And I don't know who is meant to hear this. If you need to wake up, if you need to change your vote, I don't know. I don't want to make this political. I would hate to do that. Because this should be the one issue that we all find common ground in and we can agree on, let's protect the kids. But they are commodifying us, your kids. Everyone is becoming a little cog in the big machine that is these hookup apps. Sniffies, Grindr, we have to call them all out. We're just little cogs in the machine that's the porn industry, right? And the sex industry. In fact, all of this is part of the sex industry. It's free sex, right? People don't understand this. This gets darker and darker. The more you read this guide, and then in the etiquette section on that page 30, it says, quote, don't share nudes you receive unless you have the person's consent. So it's essentially saying, you can share nudes of people who send you nudes. You can share those nudes as long as you have the consent. You can share them with other people. Send the nudes that someone has privately sent to you. You can send that person's nudes with third parties as long as you have the consent of that person. You guys, this is sick. They're promoting people to just share other people's nudes. Page 33, the playbook encourages methods on making nude photos more appealing for hooking up, like editing photos, positioning the body in certain ways, and it promotes body dysmorphia and size shaming by promoting making the genitals appear bigger in nude photos. Again, going to the whole aspect of dick shaming, of penis shaming, or of size shaming. This book contributes to it. It doesn't talk about the fact that it's a real thing in the community, size shaming. So let's see what it says. Page 30's, page 30 has a section called thirst trap. A thirst trap is like when you want to have how to be as sexual as possible, how to create a trap for someone to essentially trap them, to relieve yourself, to quench the thirstiness that you have, or to quench their thirstiness. Maybe I'm getting that wrong, but that is along the lines. That is what thirst trap means. So it says, quote, things to consider when setting the scene for your nudes. Quote, how do you want your junk to look? Question mark. If you want it clean and lint-free, then make sure to groom that area. For a sunlit glow, you can use soft, natural lighting. If you have a dick, right, and you'd like to show off your size, then try taking a pic of your hard dick next to an object such as a remote control. to give a size reference, right? So put your penis next to a remote control, right, to compare the sizes so you can give a size reference. Again, promoting size shaming, right? Or promoting the idea that you have to look as big as possible. Your penis size on these hookup apps. It's terrible. It's reductionist. We're reducing the body, reducing us as individuals with fully formed humans with holistic personalities and character, reducing us just to our genitals, right? This is the genitalization of humanity. And it's objectification, it's commodification, pornification, all these terms. Use the time feature on your phone to take photos from a distance. If you edit your nudes, then try adding some, quote, grain to the picture to blur and smooth the lines without giving a soft focus effect. To enhance the look of your butt, try playing around with your strategically placing your hand right above your butt. Another tip to enhance your butt is to try taking a picture in the bathroom mirror with your butt cheeks resting on top of the sink counter. It's telling them, undress, go to your bathroom in the mirror, put your butt cheeks against the ledge of the sink, right? And that'll essentially prop up the butt cheeks for you to take the butt selfie. It'll essentially make your butt look bigger. Again, promoting body shaming, promoting that size matters, promoting body dysmorphia, promoting people to go even get your butt filled. Go and have a Brazilian butt lift. They're not saying that, but this is essentially what this is all part of. It's body dysmorphia, and they don't issue any warnings about those mental health aspects in this book. If cleanliness is important to you, then make sure your sink top is clean. If you have, right, isn't that weird? If cleanliness is important to you, shouldn't cleanliness be important to everyone? If you did post a nude, shouldn't everyone's sink look clean in a nude photo? This is crazy. If you have a dick and want to enhance the size in a pic, then try trimming around the base of your dick to make it look larger while maintaining your hairy look. Again, promoting size. And promoting size shaming. If you want a moisturized look, then try moisturizing your genitals so they don't look ashy or flaky. You can use spit for a quick fix if you want to be discreet or unrecognizable. You can use spit for a quick fix. Then another point, if you want to be discreet or unrecognizable, then think about cropping your face. Defining features or defining settings in your pictures. So it's telling them, it's promoting a whole culture where you should be DL and be discreet. Crop your face. Crop out defining features. Crop out defining settings in your pictures. These are all direct quotes. Instead of promoting healthy sexuality, which for gay people it means, being out, right? Now it says, if you are taking a picture in the mirror and are worried about a clean background, then try to clean up in the area that is in the shot. Again, promoting dirtiness. You can have a dirty background. You can take, have a dirty setting behind your nude selfies. Okay, if you are taking a butthole picture, then think about how you want it to look. If you're looking to show a clean butthole, then look out for any residue or toilet paper. What is going on? So what? If you don't want to have your butthole looking clean in the photo, just leave the toilet paper and the poop residue on. They're obsessed with poop. They're obsessed with fecal matter. Think about flushing or cleaning your toilet if it is visible in the background. If you're worried about people seeing nudes on your phone, then try creating a hidden folder app or a hidden app to secure your nudes. Again, promoting secrecy, hiding, DL, discretion, right? 34, the playbook promotes meeting strangers and and unhealthy dating practices, and it downplays the safety threats of meeting strangers. On page 32, under the quote, hooking up safely section, it says, quote, most people hook up with someone they don't know or just met. It can be exciting to hook up with a stranger, close quote. It gives 4 safety recommendations, but all of them still show that hooking up is dangerous. So if they know it's dangerous, why are they promoting hooking up with strangers, right? And saying most people do it. Most people hook up with strangers, and it can be exciting to hook up with a stranger. Now it says to share your location with a friend. It says meet in public before heading to your hookup spot. It says decide if hosting at your place or traveling to their place is safe. And then it says carry the basics of ID, phone and debit, credit card, and cash for emergencies. Instead of doing these things, you guys, it should be recommending do not meet with strangers. It should say that. Don't meet with strangers. It should say go on multiple dates with people, with the same person. Go on multiple dates with the same person, right? It should be promoting monogamy. Right, and it should be saying get to know the person, get to know what type of person they are. It should be, say practice abstinence. It should say withhold sex, at least initially you want to withhold sex, right? To get to know someone deeply and have commitment. It doesn't promote any of those things. All it does is it says those 4 things. Point 35, the playbook promotes illegal behavior like cruising and risky situations that can lead to legal consequences. The playbook downplays the consequences and safety issues of cruising. The playbook grooms youth to go to specific gay sex clubs, sex saunas, and cruising locations without mentioning the heavy drug use in these facilities. And both with regards to cruising and later in the text with sexually transmitted infections, the playbook places the burden, the onus, and the responsibility on the youth rather than on itself for encouraging and grooming the youth to do all the things that are stated in the book. So essentially, the book says you can go cruise, the responsibility is on you, but we're the ones grooming you and promoting this to you. But if you get caught and arrested, it's on you. This is what this book is doing. They're trying to limit their liability directly with their words. After the safety tips section, it proceeds immediately to the cruising section on page 33. Cruising can be extremely dangerous for youth. Sexual abuse and grooming are very common as cruising parks have many predators. It states, those are my words. Sorry, I have to be clear. Those were my words. Now, this is what the book states. There are probably a few places in your area where you can cruise. Public spaces, parks, glory holes, gyms, alleys, clubs, bathhouses, etc. To find some of these spots, you can do an online search for queer cruising spots in your area. Look for local bathhouses that are known as hookup spots. Ask people in your social networks. And we know predators, you guys, groomers, creeps, they're all on social networks. They use these apps like Kik, like Telegram, like WhatsApp. They're on all this stuff. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, they're on it. And this is telling them, ask people in your social networks. It says download apps that are specifically made for cruising. Find a queer-friendly gym that is known to be a hotspot for hookups. And by the way, you have to know this about those gyms. There are a lot of undercover police investigations where they go to, in Los Angeles, where they go to the gyms and they're locking people up who are doing sexual activity in these gyms. This is a very big thing. The book doesn't mention any dangers like that. Then it says, look for a men's-only spa that is catered to cruising. Look for any local adult video stores that are known for cruising. Again, all of these very dangerous locations full of creeps, predators, groomers, full of them. Doesn't mention it. Quote, cruising for, that was a direct quote, the whole thing I told you before, where it says like find those gyms, go to the adult video stores. Now again, another quote. Cruising for sex in public can be scary, but the thrill of it is why people enjoy it so much. It's also illegal as police, it doesn't say it's illegal, this is my point. It's also illegal as police conduct arrests all around the country, and a youth's whole life, career, and reputation can be at stake with a misdemeanor arrest of indecent exposure or lewd conduct. Multiple arrests can lead to being listed as a sex offender. The book doesn't mention any of these things. The book diminishes the legal consequences by stating, this is all it states, quote, you run the risk of getting caught. It is important to remember that public sex can have legal consequences. However, listen to this. However, the risk is what makes it hot! Exclamation mark. It's up to you to decide if you want to take that risk. People find pleasure in the idea that they might get caught, or the idea that someone is watching them. Close quote. That's not grooming? It's telling them it's fun. Go for it. It's hot. Forget about the risk, right? This directly influences youth to do it, to take the risk, and it's directly grooming youth. Instead of negatively promoting cruising, right? Negatively promoting it, and it positively promotes cruising as a fun activity. And I do want to say the LAPD is directly making, these days, countless arrests all around Los Angeles at parks. They've been doing this for decades. Yet the County Department of Public Health, this is who published this book. The funds came from the county. The county is promoting younger generations, which is the future of Los Angeles, to engage in illegal practices like cruising. Then it states about cruising to dress for the occasion. It says, some places can be grimy and muddy, so wear something you don't mind getting dirty when you cruise, right? Look around, get to know the area before cruising so you can find a good spot or have an escape route prepared. Know your rights. Do a quick online search for the laws in your area about cruising and public sex in case you get caught or are questioned by police. I wonder why they say only to do a quick search. Cruising is illegal almost everywhere in America, if not in the entire world, you guys. So why are they telling them, do a search to see if it's illegal in your area? In other words, if they're telling them, if it's not illegal, go ahead, do it. But it's illegal in Los Angeles, and the police here is arresting people at all of the parks and different places where cruising happens in LA, even at saunas. If they're making arrests, how is this book, published with funds from the county, your taxpayer dollars, LA residents, you have to wake up, and the Children's Hospital, they're the ones who designed this, who supervise this, who are distributing it, they're the ones giving it to local nonprofit health organizations all around LA, I'm assuming. I got it from a little nonprofit in Koreatown, right? How is it that there's this cognitive dissonance with this? It's illegal, but the county is promoting it publicly. County agencies, right? What else does it say? It also states, quote, there's always a possibility you can get arrested if you're caught in a public space. It does mention that, close quote. The playbook justifies cruising as okay because of the past criminalization in the US of queer sex, which caused queer people to have to resort to parks to meet each other. This is a direct quote for this example. It says, secret locations and spaces exist so that queer people can experience pleasure without stigma, shame, or fear. Cruising still exists in the US, and there are still areas that have an abundance of queer people who like to cruise for sex. Close quote. Cruising locations are breeding grounds for sex addiction, predation, drugs are commonplace, as are crimes. And the US still has an STD, COVID, and monkeypox epidemic. This is my quote, by the way. Cruising is a major public health concern. Many men are stood up by criminals looking to steal their credit card, their cash, their phone. This book therefore promotes sex addiction, which is progressive, promiscuity, and safety and health issues for our youth. Worst of all is that the book directly states famous cruising spots in Los Angeles for you to go cruise, including, this is a direct quote, not joking, Vaseline Alley in West Hollywood. It's telling them exactly where to go when you want to find public sex, which is illegal. Arrests are being made these days, you guys, at Vaseline Alley. And they have been happening there for a long time. It says the Slammer. Go to the Slammer. If you look up what the Slammer is a sex club in Los Angeles. No one uses condoms at the Slammer. There's a lot of drug use. It is a sex club, membership club. In other words, it's not just a place you go once. You have an annual or a 6-month membership. You can see all of this stuff on their website. I investigated this. I've never been before, but I investigated this, you guys. If you have to sign up for a 6-month membership at least. So I believe. So what they're doing is they're hooking you on this thing. If you pay whatever the membership is, let's say it's $50 for the year or for 6 months. If you pay that, you think these youth aren't going to go again and again? Of course they are. If you have a membership somewhere, you're going to want to go as many times as possible to utilize the membership. They're trying to create serial sex addicts. It mentions go to Midtown Spa, right? Midtown Spa has had an issue. I know this. It had an issue where men would go and they would pierce condoms and they would spread STDs purposefully. They would pierce the condoms. There's a lot of bad stuff that can be said about Midtown Spa. Now, I did see that Midtown Spa, it did close, I believe at the end of the 2 years of the lockdown during the pandemic. So it's not in existence anymore. But it's promoting these, it's not just a spa you go, it's directly a sex spa. Everyone there goes for sex. There are rooms there. You book the room, you have sex. It also says go to Flex Spa, another one of these sex spas. It's probably one of the only ones that exist today in Los Angeles. There's a lot of drug use at Flex. A lot of people in the community know this as well. The book doesn't talk about the warnings of that. And then it says go to any gym in West Hollywood. Any gym has sex. It's promoting sex to take place in these gyms, even from people who read the book without warning of the risks. Now, point 36. The playbook downplays monogamy and actively and directly positively promotes non-monogamy, and it distorts the definition and meaning of monogamy. This is one of the most important points in the whole book that I want to make. The playbook grooms youth by coaching them through the ask of specific questions that the book presents that lead youth to having open relationships instead of working out their differences within traditional monogamy. And there's many examples for this provided in the text. Page 34 discusses the type of relationships. Monogamy is a small portion compared to the non-monogamy section, which includes open relationships, polyamory, and a fuck buddy relationship. So you have monogamy like this, and then you have non-monogamy, which is this, plus a whole other page. It's clear which one they're promoting more, right? Even within the monogamy section, the playbook diminishes traditional monogamy even further by stating that, quote, monogamy can be interpreted differently by different people. For some people, monogamy means staying away from porn, and for others, it may look like being open to have sex with other people together as a couple. Others might interpret monogamy as using a condom when having sex with other people that are not their partner. If you are in a monogamous relationship, you should allow space to discuss expectations free of judgment, close quote. All of that, a direct quote. All of these things, they say that that's monogamy. They say for some people, monogamy is just staying away from porn. For other people, it's so you can do anything you want as long as you don't watch porn. That's still monogamy. Okay, then it's saying for others, it can look like being open, right? Having sex with other people together as a couple. That's monogamy. Then it says monogamy is using a condom when having sex with other people who are not your partner. And then it says, if you are in a monogamous relationship, allow that space to discuss expectations free of judgment. Okay? Then it says, quote, tips for navigating monogamy. Discuss what you need to keep your sex life exciting. Do you want to watch porn together? Question mark. Are you making alone time to masturbate? Question mark. Will you invite others in your sex life, or do you want to keep it exclusive? Question mark. These are questions that you can ask your partner. It's telling them, you want to invite others into our relationship? Or do you want to keep it exclusive? Why is this the default? Why isn't the default traditional monogamy? Or a closed relationship? An exclusive relationship? All of these questions, just ask these questions to your partner, right? You want to watch porn together? If things should change and you or your partner want to open the relationship, this is a direct quote, then think about what that looks like. Discuss it openly and honestly and come to a mutual agreement. Hey guys, and yet again I have to film in a different location, and I just want to say again, I can't remember if I mentioned this or not, but this is not to attack the LGBT community. If you think I'm painting the LGBT community in a bad light, that's not my intention, and if I am, then let it be done, because this is about the kids. Hey, if you know, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm really just trying to judge the contents of this specific text, okay? And I want to ask you something. If you had a document, right, and you know no one else has exposed this, right? There's nothing on this online. There's no videos, there's no links to this, nothing. If you had a document and you knew it was harming children actively, would you not expose it? Of course you would, because this is about kids. And if it's not about kids, even if this document wasn't meant to be written about kids, even if it was just meant to be written toward adults, toward 30-year-olds or 40-year-olds, I still would expose this. Why? Because it's produced with people's taxpayer money, without the taxpayer knowing, right? It's produced by a public institution, the Children's Hospital, a public institution, the Los Angeles Department of Public Health gave the funds for this. And it isn't about promoting responsible sex. It's telling you directly, go and fist. It's saying, go cruising. Cruising is dangerous for anyone to do, right? And this book says it. It says just go cruising, and it gives you locations to go do this. So, you know, I'm not going to have to apologize. You know, if the LGBT community is painted in a bad light because of this, let that be so. And that's not my intention. That's not my intention at all. I'm not here to attack them one bit. But I'm here to attack the people within the community that are causing the harm, absolutely. Now let's go back to my commentary, or my statement of why, 43 reasons why the playbook grooms youth, and why the book should be banned. You know, people have definitely gotten this book, you guys. They have. It's just no one has chosen to come out with it. You know, I'm a whistleblower, and I think people have chosen not to come out with it because they've embraced it. They've given into it. They've been brainwashed by it, and they're living in a place of denial because it has actually had the effect that the creators wanted. Not on me, though. Nope. Okay. So it says, if things should change and you or your partner want to open up the relationship, then think about what that looks like, discuss it openly and honestly, and come to a mutual agreement. Shouldn't LA County be promoting exclusive and monogamous relationships? Why is all this normalized and considered the default? There is clearly an agenda for non-monogamy. Then it states, quote, there may be times where you don't feel supported or fulfilled in a monogamous relationship, so it can be helpful to explore the reasons those feelings exist with yourself, your friends, or a therapist. You can revisit your relationship and determine what you need to continue to feel content. This is all about self-contentment, you guys. The next section on open relationships defines it as, quote, relationships where you and your primary partner have sex outside of your relationships. Chat with your partner about what you need to feel safe, such as getting tested for STIs or HIV regularly, wearing condoms when having sex with others, or not having sex in your shared space. Be transparent with non-primary sexual partners about your relationship status, so as not to confuse or mislead them. Your relationship, so like, make sure you're telling your other partners that you're in a relationship. That's one of the things. And then it says, then for polyamory, quote, polyamory allows you to have your different wants and needs met by different partners, not just one. And then it has a section on fuck buddies, and it calls this FB for short. So FB is defined as, quote, someone who you have sex with regularly without being in a committed relationship. Having a fuck buddy can be a great way to be intimate with someone you know and are comfortable with without the pressure of commitment. That's a quotation. Talk about your sexual preferences and things you may need to feel safe. An example, top, bottom, bareback, PrEP, condoms, etc. And for those of you who don't know what PrEP is, it's the medication that is meant to prevent the transmission of HIV. I believe it's 99% effective. Point 37, the playbook as part of the medical industrial complex promotes the medicalization of youth through PrEP, PEP, and health screenings. In the health section on page 36, it tells youth to go to www.getprepla.com/centers of excellence in order to find a physician who is culturally aware of the LGBT community. And the only thing is that link shows doctors who prescribe PrEP. Clearly, the book is pushing medicalization through PrEP on youth. While PrEP does protect people from catching HIV 99% of the time, we all know that almost no one who is on PrEP uses condoms, and therefore it's still exposing the youth to STDs. The section states some screenings one can do are prostate screening, cervical screening, testicular screening, colon screening, pap smear, and STI screenings. Page 37 recommends, if you are having sex often and have different partners, or your partners have multiple sexual partners, here are some common things to get tested for. Gonorrhea every 3 to 6 months, chlamydia every 3 to 6 months, HIV every 3 to 6 months, hepatitis A and B if not vaccinated, and based on symptoms, HPV, that's human papillomavirus, genital herpes, pubic lice, and it states that STIs are common and most are curable, and some have no cure, but, quote, they are manageable with treatment and through regular checkups with a doctor, like hepatitis B, herpes, HIV, and HPV. There are several options for treatment, close quote. I believe that the phrasing and language of this section downplays the severity of STIs. Absolutely, you guys. It's telling you, just keep going, getting tested every 3 to 6 months. So in other words, you don't feel safe in your relationship, and this isn't about responsible sex. This is just telling them, be medicalized. Constantly be going to get tested. Chlamydia, gonorrhea, every 3 to 6 months. Hepatitis A, hepatitis B, get the vaccines, right? The playbook downplays the risks associated with anal play on youth while placing the responsibility of risk on the youth instead of itself for grooming the youth. Page 38 on, quote, the ouches of anal play, quote, states, anal play is fun, but it can cause uncomfortable and painful effects on a person's rectum, such as fissures, hemorrhoids, itching, and dryness. Some of these are more common than others, and people can still enjoy anal play if they are experiencing some of these conditions. The book discusses each section in detail and downplays the severity by stating, quote, some people feel comfortable having penetrative anal play with hemorrhoids, but if you decide to have penetrative play, just remember that it can make things worse. Weigh your options and decide what works best for you. Ultimately, you get to decide what is best for you. It's telling these youth that they can do these things even when they have these medical issues, right? Hemorrhoids. Okay, 39. The playbook downplays the severity of catching and transmitting HIV, and it downplays the importance of condom use by promoting bareback sex. Regarding HIV, on page 41, the text states treatment as prevention as a prevention strategy. I'm just going to pause 1 sec. Okay, continuing on. It states that HIV medication can reduce the viral load, which is the amount of HIV in the blood, so that the test can't detect it. It then states, quote, if you maintain an undetectable viral load, there is effectively no way of transmitting HIV to your partner or partners, which means you can fuck raw if you'd like. That's a quotation. That's a quote from this book. It's telling people, if you have HIV and you are undetectable, it means you can fuck raw if you'd like. Direct quote. Instead of promoting the use of condoms for people who are HIV, it's just telling them you can fuck raw if you'd like. Then it says, quote, not everyone taking HIV medicine has an undetectable viral load. The only way to know if you have an undetectable viral load is by checking in with your HIV care provider regularly. Quote. So if that's a direct quote, then why are they also recommending? If they say not everyone who takes HIV medicine is undetectable, so why are they recommending? It means you can fuck raw if you'd like. Okay? Argument 40. The playbook has a low level of scrutiny with regard to STI and STD transmission, and it promotes methods like the pull-out method and oral sex without a condom. So what are the examples? Page 45. It presents varied examples of prevention in different scenarios. Scenario 1 states, quote, I enjoy raw sex, but I'm worried about getting STIs or HIV, close quote. What the playbook recommends in this case is 1. Use condoms with a thin feeling to them, like Trojan Ecstasy condoms, right? It's giving them the brand. 2. Choose to top rather than bottom during sex due to the lower risk it poses. 3. Use a lot of lube to minimize anal fissures or internal tissue tearing. 4. Enforce a pull-out rule to prevent someone coming inside of you. 5. Use condoms for anal or front hole sex, but go raw for oral. That's a direct quote. Go raw for oral sex. Don't use a condom if you do oral. Right? Recommending the pull-out method and also not using a condom for oral sex is incredibly problematic and risky, as is the downplaying of the risk involved when playing the insertive role rather than the receiving role. It does this in point 2. It says choose the top rather than bottom during sex due to the lower risk it poses. Scenario 2 says, quote, I love the feeling of coming inside someone. For this, the playbook recommends, quote, come inside your partner's mouth rather than the ass or the front hole to decrease the risk of transmitting HIV, and use condoms when topping so that you can come inside your partner while lowering any possibility of STI transmission or pregnancy, close quote. These are both problematic because 1, the mouth still could have sores, bleeding gums, oral contact with menstrual blood or other STDs, and 2, coming while inside someone inside a condom is still dangerous because the condom can tear or seminal fluid could spill outside of the base of the condom. So the playbook is recommending something which is dangerous. And then we have the playbook falsely states condoms lower, quote, any possibility of STI transmission or pregnancy, close quote. That's what the playbook says. It lowers any possibility of STI transmission or pregnancy. That's not true. A condom can break. A condom can be already pierced. You never know. Pregnancies do happen with people who wear condoms. It does happen. STI transmission also does happen. And what else? Scenario 3, it says, quote, I hate coming inside a condom, close quote, and the prevention method that the playbook recommends is coming on other places on the body, like the neck, the back, the chest, and the stomach. Still unsafe. You can still catch some type of STD, even if it falls on the body. Skin-to-skin contact, you can still catch herpes and other things. Page 40, point 41, okay, page 46 states that having sex in well-lit areas is a way to catch any abnormalities, like sores or rashes on another person's genitals. Having sex in a well-lit area is not enough of an argument to prevent STI transmission. This is what it says on 46. It basically says, if you have sex in a well-lit area, it's a great way to catch abnormalities like sores, rashes on another person's genitals. That's it. That's the argument. So it says, oh yeah, if it's a well-lit area, you're good, as long as you can see. That's not enough of an argument. 42, the playbook promotes the public health crisis through practices that lead to higher rates of STI transmission instead of encouraging abstinence by promoting active sexual lives despite having STIs. This point that I'm mentioning is about people who already have STIs. The playbook is still telling them, go have sex. How do they do that? Okay, the playbook recommends scenarios where people who have STIs can still actively engage in sex. Page 46 has an entire section on having sex while having STIs. Instead of arguing for long-term or at least temporary abstinence while having an STI, the playbook states, quote, you may think that having an STI marks the end of your sex life. This is simply not true. Even if you have been diagnosed with an STI, you can still maintain a healthy and active sex life, close quote. It then states, quote, once you and your partner or partners have been treated, you can think through the different ways that you can have sex, quote. You can have non-penetrative and penetrative sex, but may want to take some precautions, like using barriers like external condoms, internal condoms, dental dams, or have non-penetrative play and minimal genital-to-genital and skin-to-skin contact. It's telling them. If you have an STI, it's okay. You can still have penetrative or non-penetrative sex. Yep. 43. Last argument of... 44. So this is 43. Second last argument. The playbook uses phrasing that undermines the severity of HIV within the context of relationships and within the context of public health, and by not encouraging or promoting serosorting or same-status relationships over magnetic or serodiscordant relationships. Okay, what does this mean? The playbook undermines the severity of HIV by stating, quote, HIV status should not affect your sex life, quote, close quote. That's what it says. It defines what magnetic, also known as serodiscordant relationships are, as one partner having HIV and one not, close quote. It then states, quote, if you are in magnetic relationships, you have the freedom to engage in the type of sex you want with your partner or partners as long as it is consensual. Many people who have partners that are living with HIV take time to weigh their options for prevention, right? So it's basically saying you can decide, right, if you want to have sex with someone while you have HIV, as long as there's consent. So in other words, it's saying consent is the only thing that matters. So that's like saying if somebody gives consent, knowing you have HIV, and they give their consent, it's totally fine to have sex with them. That's not enough. They have to be informed and educated first before they give consent. And that doesn't even touch upon so many other things we can talk about this, but there's too much to talk about here. It states, quote, if you're using needles to inject drugs or hormones, it's best that you don't share needles to prevent the transmission of HIV and other STIs. You guys, shouldn't the text here, if they care about responsible sex, shouldn't it recommend not to do drugs at all? Shouldn't it recommend not to share needles at all? But instead, it doesn't use that language. It says, it's best that you don't share needles. It says it's best that you don't. It doesn't say don't share needles, right? In addition, it states the disclosing of one's HIV status simply as just something that is helpful rather than something that should be required for a healthy and respectful sexual life. Quotation, direct quote here. Disclosing your HIV status helps you and your partners work together to come up with a prevention strategy that you are comfortable with. After listing 7 methods as prevention tools, it states, quote, a combination of the options above can be used and, quote, these are all options to consider, and using 2 or more methods can really reduce the likelihood of contracting HIV. As a way to prevent the spread of HIV, shouldn't the playbook in this case recommend for one who is positive with HIV to only have a monogamous relationship or a relationship or relationships with other or others who are also HIV positive, rather than listing magnetic and serodiscordant relationships as an option for them? Right? Do you guys understand this argument I'm trying to make? It's telling people, if you're HIV positive, you can have relationships with people who are HIV positive and with people who aren't. And it's just talking about all of these different scenarios and ways that you can, have healthier sex with regard to this. Shouldn't it be saying only have sex, if you're HIV positive, only have sex with people who are HIV positive? It doesn't say that. In fact, it kind of promotes magnetic relationships, serodiscordant relationships over the other type of relationship, right? In addition, the playbook states in the glossary on page 49 that the phrase or abbreviation DDF is stigmatizing. And by the way, before what I was saying about serodiscordant and magnetic relationships and people who are HIV positive, my goal is not at all to stigmatize people who have HIV. That's the opposite of what I want to do. My goal is to talk about how this book is not doing the job that it should be doing of promoting healthy, responsible sex. There's so many arguments I've made already. If you still can't see that and still can make arguments like this person is doing this and this about me, I don't know what to say. I don't know. Again, this is all for children, all for the youth. So, with regard to the phrase DDF, it states DDF is short for drug and disease free, which stigmatizes those who have had STIs or those currently living with HIV or other STIs. It also stigmatizes those who use drugs. The book is saying essentially don't use the phrase DDF, right? So when you want to hook up with someone and you ask them, hey, are you DDF? Are you drug and disease free? It's a quick way for someone to ask, hey, do you do drugs? Hey, what's your status, right? But the thing is, the book just says don't use DDF because it's stigmatizing, right? It's stigmatizing to drug users, it's stigmatizing to people who live with HIV. But what happens is the playbook, it fails. it can say, hey, don't use the phrase DDF, it causes stigma. Okay, but why doesn't it recommend something else as an alternative? It doesn't say, for example, ask, what is your status? Or it doesn't say to state your preference that you don't condone drug use, right? It doesn't tell you to do that instead. It just says, no DDF, right? Okay, last point 44. The playbook uses cartoon graphics, appealing fonts and colors, triggering imagery, and catchy phrases to paint hookup culture as fun and positive to groom youth, particularly in the glossary section. Glossary is on pages 49 to 51, and examples include definitions for thirsty, which is defined, quote, an intense feeling of wanting or in some cases needs and sexual gratification. It's painting all of this thirstiness and horniness as a need when it's not a need at all. It's a want. Sex addiction is not a need. Having those fulfilled is not a need. You know? Yes, I understand humans have needs. We have a lot of other needs, and one of them probably is, physical touch and also to some extent sex. But it's not saying sex is a need. It's saying, you guys, it's saying that thirstiness is a need. An intense feeling of wanting, or in some cases needs, and sexual gratification. This is simply put as being extremely horny. That's what it says in quotations. Thirstiness is the feeling of being extremely horny. And then it defines power top and power bottom, quote, either a top or bottom that enjoys control and dominance during sex. They are usually in the power position, close quote. And then DTF, which is short for down to fuck, and it defines it as, quote, someone may ask you if you are DTF, which is short for down to fuck, close quote. So you can laugh at all this, you guys. You can laugh at me. You can say, this guy's crazy, this guy's a prude. I don't care what you think, honestly. The joke is going to be on you, because these are youth we're talking about. And if you found this inappropriate or unbearable, just imagine the trauma that youth go through, that an adolescent goes through by hearing these things, by reading these things, by seeing these things with their own eyes, and the graphics that come with it. And that's all I want to say. We should sue the county, we should sue the children's hospital, and even sue all these hookup companies that are creating poor mental health in so many people in the community and so many youth. That's all, you guys.